Welcome back to Life Maxing. Hey everyone, we're back.
Yeah.
In the normal spot.
Yeah, ignore my sunglasses. I actually lost my sunglasses, I think, in New York City when I went the other day. And so I don't know whose these are, but it's so bright out. So
yeah,
I need to be wearing something. And it's actually really hot out, so I don't know why we're both wearing sweatshirts.
I'm not sure why either, but
this is my new sweatshirt that if you're watching on YouTube that McKenna bought me. It's Rollins colors. I'm obsessed with it. They did like a whole bed party thing for me today. It was so cute, and I got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So that was
we
good.
pranked her this morning. Had Riley make Addie take her to Starbucks and Dunkin'.
Yeah.
While me and my mom only had like 30 minutes to, not even, to put everything together, like blow up all the balloons. My dad obviously helped with that too, but we already had everything like purchased. It was just about finding a good time to do it.
Really good.
I'll put a picture on the screen if you're on YouTube.
Saf
it was
and
really
Lex
cute.
Were trying to get me to go to Starbucks with them. They were like, last night they were like, let's go to Starbucks at 9 tomorrow, and I was like, not a chance.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was trying to get Safi and Lex to take her this morning. That didn't really work. So then Riley had to like ask her to take her. So
I'm already so hot. Wearing a sweatshirt was not a good idea. Okay, so today we're gonna be asking McKenna some questions that a lot of people want to have answered about sorority recruitment and what it's like to like be in a sorority or be higher up in a sorority. And I honestly don't understand the sorority recruitment at all, so this should be kind of interesting for me to hear about it too, because all my friends are in sororities.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty relevant too, like timeline wise. A lot of people are starting to go back in a couple of weeks to do primary recruitment at a lot of the bigger schools.
Yeah.
Recruitment at Rollins is a lot different than that, but just in general there are, some similarities and things like that. So I feel like it's a good time, and also I don't want to start this next school year like before doing this episode because I already graduated. So I feel like we need to like get this over with before I'm too like I don't know.
So this isn't one of the questions on here, but like I kind of like was gonna ask if you could go through the different rounds of recruitment, because I don't understand like the different days and stuff like that. It never made sense to me.
So I guess for context, Rollins is a very small school, and recruitment's a little bit way different than the big schools. I mean, there's again some similarities in the things that you wear and like the things you talk about, but it's just so much smaller. Like there's only 6 sororities, so that's good context to have. And also primary recruitment is in the spring, so we come back literally like the second day of January, right after New Year's, kind of like how people go early in the fall. And same thing with all the freshmen move back in the spring, earlier than classes start. It's like 2 weeks before classes start. So that's some good context to have. But basically how the rounds work at Rollins is the first round is values, and that lasts 2 days, and you go to every single house on values. So it essentially is what it sounds like. Every sorority has their own set of values. So some people, I guess some sororities have anywhere from like 3 to 5. I know 80 Pi has 4 values. They changed like halfway through. I was at Rollins, which was interesting, but they still they all mean the same thing.
Wait, that's the first round?
Yeah, so the first round is values, and you usually just wear, this is pretty much at every school, you wear like the shirt, the Panhellenic shirt that, Panhellenic will give you, all the freshmen or whoever's going through recruitment, and then you wear like a cute skirt, jeans, something along those lines, and you dress it up with like cute sneakers and jewelry and stuff like that. And obviously wear like have your hair and makeup done. But yeah, so that's, you essentially are given like the shirt to wear for that round, and you go to every single sorority on that round. So after that you vote, and then the second round is philanthropy. So I guess like some people have
every school the same.
I think some people have sisterhood philanthropy preference, or values sisterhood philanthropy preference. Like I think sometimes like sisterhood and values are 2 separate ones. We would technically call like preference and sisterhood were interchangeable for us for the last round. But yeah, we only had 3 rounds at Rollins. So values is first, and everyone literally just talks about the values of their sorority. And then the second one is philanthropy, and then like ours is Ronald McDonald House Charities. So we like have to play a video from nationals And then we like talk a little bit about, like, have our vice president of philanthropy talk a little bit about what we do, like the events we throw, how much money we raise, things like that. And then the last round is preference. So it also, like, the timing of every round changes, and like how many girls you're talking to changes. So it's all kind of interesting. And like, I've definitely, for 2 years I was behind the scenes, so I can't like speak too much about that, just because of like ritual things for 80 Pi and just things behind the scenes that we're not really allowed to talk about until you're actually in a sorority. But it's kind of interesting how it works. So like you're talking to, you're in that house on values for only 30 minutes, and then philanthropy you're in that house for 45.
Okay.
And then preference you're in the house for an hour.
Okay. And so like each round you narrow down the girls? Like, is it like...
Yeah, so it's like a mutual selection process. So the girls get to rank their sororities at the end of...
So values, like anyone, it's like everyone that wants to rush is going.
Yeah,
and then
and you have to go to all of the houses.
The next one, like, is already less girls are
less
coming?
girls, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So it's mutual
That's
selection.
what I
Like, we
thought.
do a process on the back end that I can't really speak on. But then, like, the girls that are going through rank the houses as well. And then from that, it's a numbers game. It's like literally a system that it gets put into on the back end. And then girls are invited back. They come, and then same thing. So as a like freshman or a girl going through the recruitment process, you have 6 houses in the first round, you have up to 4 houses on the second round, and then you have up to 2 houses on the third round. So there's a chance you don't get any houses back, and there's a chance you get 1 house back, there's a chance you get 2 houses back on the last round.
Okay. And then, like, are there certain things that you are not allowed to, like, because I've seen that on TikTok where you're not really allowed to talk about certain things.
Yeah.
Are there also things that you guys kind of look for people to talk about, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I would say the 4 Bs. Have you heard of the 4 Bs?
Isn't it boys, Bible,
Booze.
booze?
Some sororities use the 4 Bs differently, but I guess, like, basically, essentially, you're just not supposed to talk about any partying or, like, alcohol. Boys, try to steer away from religion. Like, if you go to, like, a religious camp or, like, that's something you're involved in, that's totally fine. But, like, religion and politics, you're not really supposed to talk about, because it can just cause a little bit of polarization or just, like, arguments. Sometimes, so it's just, like, kind of something we recommend to steer clear from, but we're not allowed to talk about boys or booze, and neither are the girls. Like, at Rollins, we didn't really use the 4 Bs necessarily, but like some of our advisors from different schools at 80 Pi would come, and like everyone kind of had a different perception of it. But I say like the 2 big ones are just booze and boys. Yeah.
So is there something that you guys look for to
Oh, yeah.
that people would talk about?
I
Or,
would
like,
say,
certain values that people have, I guess?
yeah, I mean, so speaking for 80 Pi, I know our values are knowledge, so like academics, character, so like kind of yourself and just like your own, I guess, personal values and having those instilled in you, and then service, which is like our philanthropy, and sisterhood, which is what a sorority is. So I think, like, when I went through recruitment, I was asked by 80 Pi, like, what are your values, or do you align with any of the 4 values that we just talked to you about? And I would talk a little bit about, like, sisterhood, because I grew up with sisters. And some people say the opposite, like, I'm looking for a sisterhood because I grew up with brothers, or I was an only child. So I think, like, I wouldn't say that there's like an answer that's like, oh my god, you're automatically like invited back.
Yeah.
But I would say that, like, if a girl is really strong in her values and has like a very, you know, her values align with 80 Pi's values and she can kind of speak on that a lot and she's passionate about it, I think that's definitely something that, you know, we would look for.
Do you have to maintain a certain GPA to be in a sorority, and like...
Yeah. So at Rollins, I believe it's a 2.7
Okay.
to be able to go through recruitment. And
like, because I've heard of people being on academic probation and stuff. Is that if you're already in the sorority and your GPA dips?
So there are ways that we can make GPA exceptions, but it's very, very rare, and we have to like get it approved by nationals, because that means that they would start being in the sorority already on academic probation.
Okay, so it's
so that's sometimes more for informal recruitment, if it's like an older girl, or you know, someone who is a sophomore or freshman who didn't go through the formal recruitment process. You know, it has to be after formal recruitment in order to have them, you know, go through informal. But sometimes there are instances where we may make exceptions if we feel that they align really well with the sisterhood, but we do have to get it like essentially approved by nationals and talk to our national advisors. And I don't know, at all the Rollins sororities, that's the same, but I'm not sure if that's like different, you know, depending on nationals and different rules. But I know for AD Pi, it has happened, but it's more, you know, it brings our whole chapter GPA down, and you don't want to have someone on academic probation, because it's just, you know, but our GPA is a 2.8 for AD Pi.
So, and then on like more of a social media side of things, I know I've seen like you're not supposed to only follow the sororities you're interested in. Like, is that a big thing? Do people look at that when they're going through recruiting?
At Rollins, short answer, no, at Rollins.
Okay.
Like, that's not something, I mean, there's only 6 sororities, so I feel like that's not something that's necessarily super noticeable. If a girl is like only following 2 or 3 sororities, we don't like stalk that and look at that.
Okay.
I know like at bigger schools, I've heard of that.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, I've heard of that, and it's like, okay, why are you, you know? But there has been instances, I don't know like a lot of specifics, but there has been instances where, you know, since Rollins does recruitment halfway through your freshman year, you have a whole first semester to kind of meet people. And there have been a lot of instances where girls will verbatim say, I'm only going to X sorority.
And that will
cause some issues, because like, especially at Rollins, like our Panhellenic community is really
small that everyone kind of hears what everyone else is saying.
Everyone hears everything, and obviously things during recruitment can get competitive, but like I have tons of friends in other sororities, so does every single person in AD Pi and every other sorority. Like, it's just such a small school, and Panhellenic is so small that everyone will say Panhell love at every school, even if it's big. But like, we definitely, I think that's a big point at Rollins. Like, every sorority is close with each other, and there definitely are competitive times, but I think that's just something we don't really like at Rollins as girls in the sorority. And if that got to like our Panhellenic exec, it's just like, why are you saying that? And then people, you know, there's been instances where freshmen will like talk shit on some sororities, and it's like, okay, then no one's gonna want you to be a part of our sisterhood if you're talking bad about other girls, you know. So.
Is there certain things on social media that you wouldn't take, like, that you wouldn't take a girl for because you're stalking her socials and you see something? Like, what would stuff like that be?
I would say if a girl's outwardly posting about drinking, that's the biggest thing. Like, I say things like, you know, politics and religion aren't things that you should really talk a ton about. It's just recommended during recruitment. But if someone's, you know, in a political club, or, you know, same thing with a religious organization, and they have leadership in that, that's not something we're ever gonna say, you know, no to. Like, we have like respect for all of that.
It's not like a no.
So posting that and like having that on your own socials is totally fine. It's just something,
you're not making it your whole personality when you're going through recruitment,
and making it very like, I only want to be in this sorority because I met this girl and she's Christian, and I only want to be in this sorority because has a lot of Christian girls. Like, that's not a thing at Rollins, because you know, there's no like religious sororities per se, and you don't need to obviously have any type of religious affiliation to be in any of the sororities, but I just think if you're making it more of like a defining thing, that's when it's maybe not, it's not a bad thing. It wouldn't make us, you know, not invite someone back, but I think it's just frowned upon if you're gonna, you know, not be friends with someone, for example, if they're not the same religion as you, or you don't want to be in a sorority with someone if they're not the same religion as you, which doesn't really happen, but that's just why it's frowned upon to talk about. But if that's on your socials, that's fine. So I'd say the only thing
is just like outwardly posting, What about like if people are of age, is that still a thing, or is it like just like underage drinking?
If you're still of age and you're in ADPI, you're not supposed to be posting yourself drinking.
See, I was always wondering about that because like obviously you shouldn't be like doing whatever if you're underage anyways, but I was wondering if it's like a whole just like drinking in general, even if you're actually.
I think if
21.
you have like I don't know, like if you're at dinner and you have a glass of wine in the picture, it's no one's gonna really go crazy over that. I think if it's like, you know, you can see labels and you have like a whole tequila bottle and you're posting yourself chugging it, even if you're of age, if you have those letters in your bio, that's something that's frowned upon.
Okay, that makes sense.
For
it's just,
sure.
Like, not a good
and
look.
Absolutely no drinking in letters. Like that is like the biggest can get you kicked out of the sorority.
I was gonna actually ask about that
get you
too.
removed. Yeah.
When like people, you're not supposed to like, because I would always see this at big schools during game day and stuff. That when you are wearing like a pin that says your letters, you're not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Like, is that how it always is everywhere?
Yeah. I mean, obviously it's different. There's no like game days like that at Rollins. But yeah, I've heard from my friends in big schools and definitely seen that from like knowing other girls in other 80 pies. Yeah, I mean, I think if you are drinking at a game day and you're underage and you have that pin on, it better be hidden and it better not be posted because that can. Yeah, if there's a picture of that, that's a very big no-no. Yeah.
Okay, that like kind of makes sense. Is it like, so if a girl were to like say outwardly that you guys are her favorite sorority or something like that, that I'm assuming is also frowned upon then, right? Or no? Like, would that be like, oh, maybe we're not gonna take her now, or?
That's a hard one. I think it depends on the context, very much on the context.
Okay.
And like, let's say you weren't playing lacrosse and like you were going through recruitment, like, or informal recruitment or whatever, and like on a, I don't know, we were hanging out with my friends and you were like, I love 80 Pi, like 80 Pi is my favorite sorority.
Yeah.
I would say that's
like
not weird.
I more mean it in the sense of like when you're actually going through.
Okay, yeah. So like if it's a family member or a close
people.
friend and it's like not in the recruitment context, unless like as long as you're not like shitting on other sororities, like that's when it's, you know, we don't necessarily appreciate that. No sororities do, but I think, yeah, like even if it's a freshman that like knows a couple of 80 Pies from class her first semester and she's like, I love 80 Pi, like it's my favorite. Like I've had girls say that to me, and as long as they're not like saying I'm only going 80 Pi, I'm only going 80 Pi, like, because at the end of the day, it is a numbers game, and sometimes even that is out of our control, even if we mutually, like, you know, select each other, for lack of better words. Like, sometimes things just don't align, so you can't tell people that. I would say if a freshman or, like, a non-member is saying that to the girls, it's more about how the girls respond. That can be a problem. Okay. So, like, if, you know, a freshman came up to me, and this has happened, and it's like, 80 Pi is my favorite, I want to go 80 Pi, like, I want 80 Pi, I only want 80 Pi, then, you know, my response would be like, oh my god, that's amazing, like, go through the process, have an open mind, like, I love you, like, that would be amazing, but, you know, I go through the process, have an open mind. Like, you have to kind of approach it as, like, you can't bid promise. That's called bid promising. Yeah. And you can get in a lot of trouble from that, from Panhellenic, and also just, again, like, it's not guaranteed. Yeah. If I love this girl, maybe another girl in 80 Pi that talks to her during recruitment doesn't click with her the same, and then, you know, it's all a numbers game, and it's all kind of about, like, aligning with the whole sisterhood, not just with one girl. Mm-hmm. So I think it's less about, like, the girl saying that wouldn't be a no, but it could get us in trouble the way we respond outside of recruitment and during recruitment. So I would say if she's saying, I only want 80 Pi, all the other sororities are weird, then that would be a no-no. But if she's like, I love 80 Pi is my favorite, you know, it kind of depends on the context and how, you know, extreme it is, and if she's talking negatively about anyone else. But yeah, I would say the biggest deal there is how we would respond. Okay.
And then if you were to get, like, let's say dropped or not picked up or whatever by any sorority, is there a way that you could still get in a sorority, like, event? Like, how does that work? Yeah, so if I go to 4 sororities on philanthropy and then I get 0 back on preference, is that what you're asking? Yeah. So in the last round I get no houses back, so I'm dropped from the process essentially. There's a way you can get a snap bid.
So if you've already gone to the house at least once during recruitment, then on bid day, if we have extra spots, we can take up to like, I don't know, 3 snap bids, for example. So we'll get a list of girls that came to our house at some point that are dropped from the process and their phone numbers. And we can say, I'm giving this girl a snap bid, and she can accept on the spot. So like I was in charge of that this past year with my recruitment.
Okay.
Like I was in charge of calling the girls the snap bids and being like, hey, like you have a bid from 80 Pie. Do you want to come? And she can't run home with everyone, but she can come to bid day on that exact day, and she can be in 80 Pie on bid day.
Okay. So
Also,
the only difference with that is that you don't get to
run home. Yeah. That's just like on bid day, basically all the sororities will line up at like this big field in the middle of campus.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then you like literally run home.
Yeah.
Like someone calls your name, like McKenna Maxwell, 80 Pie, and then you run to 80 Pie, and a couple girls run to you, and you like tackle that. Well, technically we weren't allowed to tackle, but you like jump and hug, and then you run back to 80 Pie, and then you give them their shirt and their merch, like bid day bags,
Okay. Fun.
So yeah, so that's like running home. But then, we still have extra shirts, bid day bags, everything. Like they still get everything. They just don't get to physically run home to us. They still can come to our bid day celebration. They can, and they're in the sorority at that point, and can do the rest of the like start the new member process with everyone else. But if you don't get a snap bid, there are still ways you can do, like, once everything is done and Panhellenic will look at all of the numbers, they will then determine Panhellenic total.
Okay.
So Panhellenic total can be determined by like the sorority that has the largest numbers, or just looking at all the girls that went through recruitment, and I don't know, they look at all the numbers and they determine Panhellenic total. So like it's gotten larger and larger every single year. So like let's say Panhellenic total is 100, and after bid day, including the snap bids, we have 98. We can take 2 COBs, or go through continuous open recruitment and take 2 COBs, which is continuous open bidding. So that's essentially like informal recruitment is just our recruitment girl, and then we in 80 Pie we have someone for continuous open recruitment as well, and then the president or someone else will basically go on like little coffee dates. Like it's very chill, completely different than normal recruitment. Like take the girl to a coffee shop and just get to know her a little bit, like go to Starbucks, go somewhere on campus. The president, the vice president of recruitment, and like...
Do you all go separately, or like would you all go together?
Typically we'd all go together, or there'd be a couple dates, and like I wouldn't go on all of the dates, but it would be like, okay, like let's say she wanted my opinion, she'd be like, are you free at this time, can you come on this date with me? Like the president doesn't need to go on all of them. I'd say as long as the vice president of recruitment or the girl who's in charge of continuous open recruitment, these are all voted positions, so like we trust these girls and their judgment. And then just random girls in the sorority will go too. So like let's say you were going through informal recruitment, and one of my friends knows you personally and wanted to go on the date as well, to like, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Like that's kind of what it is. And then from there we can also give them a bid. So there's a lot of ways if you get dropped from the process, or if you yourself drop from the process, or just don't want to go through formal recruitment. There's lots of ways, but it's not guaranteed. Like nothing is guaranteed. So like we had a problem 2 years ago when I was vice president of marketing. For 80 Pie, we had like a issue where basically a lot of the freshmen thought that it was easier to go through continuous open recruitment, and so a lot of freshmen, like a good amount, didn't sign up for formal recruitment because they were like, I'm just gonna go through informal recruitment because it's easier. And while that can be true, because there's just like less competition and it's just a more chill process.
But then when there's more competition, it's not the same results.
And sometimes, like, let's say a girl really wanted 80 Pie, and she's like, well, I'm just gonna wait and do informal recruitment because it's easier.
Yeah.
And then 80 Pie only has 1 spot once all of the numbers are determined, or 80 Pie has 0 spots. Like it's not guaranteed that all sororities are gonna even be able to take girls.
True.
Because you can't go over Panhellenic total. So like Katie could have 98 girls, and 80 Pie could have 96 girls, and Panhellenic total's 100. We can take 4, they can only take 2.
Right.
So it's like it's all just about the numbers.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that informal recruitment's easier at all.
Yeah. So what, like, are some of the responsibilities and what's it like being on exec and, like, being the president? Because, like, also, how do you even get to do that? Like, I know it's a voting system, but how, I guess it's more for big schools that I'm wondering this, is how do you get people to know you enough to want to vote for you?
I mean, honestly, that'd probably be really hard at a big school. Yeah, I think you have to, like, immediately get involved.
There's so many girls, like, it's like you have to really immediately,
at
like,
big schools there's a lot of committees.
Okay.
Because there's just so much more you have to do. Yeah. Like, there's a lot more, like, smaller events, and there's just, like, a lot more, like, decorations and, you know, more logistical things that go into it because you're throwing events for, you know, a lot more girls than, like, 100. Like, my sorority, 80 Pi is only 100 girls, you know? So I think I can't really speak too much to that, but I would say, like, probably getting involved in the committees and just, like, going to everything, showing face, and being nice to everyone is, like, a universal thing. I'm assuming it means a little bit more at a big school. But, like, I think for me, as soon as I joined 80 Pi, I knew I wanted to be president. Like, it was just, I joined with Austin. I remember telling her that night, I was like, Austin's my, like, best friend, and she's my twin in my sorority family, if you guys don't know. But she, like, I literally remember telling her in my freshman dorm that night that we joined, like, I want to be president. And so I think the first step, if you want to be president, is getting onto exec, at least for 80 Pi. Like, this is all specific to 80 Pi. I don't know if this is, you know, universal. I think there's, again, some things that apply universally, but so I would say my biggest thing was, like, getting on exec. I knew I wanted to run for marketing because I've always just been interested in marketing. And at that point, you know, I was getting some traction on TikTok and I was working with some brands already. And so I think just also, again, it's a small school, it's a small sorority, like, girls saw that, and a lot of girls would even come up to me and tell me, like, oh my god, you should run for vice president of marketing, like, you'd be so good, like, you already have some connections with brands. I was one of the first people at Rollins to be an Alani Nu ambassador. I was the first person in 80 Pi to be an Alani Nu ambassador, but that same year was the first time anyone at Rollins had been one, because I think their program was also fairly new. And so there was me and, like, one other girl in another sorority, or two other girls in another sorority, and, like, we were the first ones in Panhellenic to, like, have that. And now there's a lot more. I've been seeing, like, a lot of girls in 80 Pi and a lot of other sororities, like, and, like, even you, like, for athletics as well. I've seen some athletics too. So anyway, so I think that was, like, just the fact that I kind of had, like, some, you know, brand experience and, like, already some experience with marketing on my own social media accounts. I think girls saw that, so I was voted into vice president of marketing, and then as soon as I got voted into vice president of marketing, like, I worked so hard at not only that job, but, like, just being on exec, because I really wanted, you know, girls to see that I really cared about the sorority, and I knew I wanted to run for president immediately. So at first I didn't think I could, because
so I feel like you kind of need to have an idea of if you want to do that pretty early into it.
I think so. I don't think it's needed. Like, I kind of forced Sarah to run for president. Sarah's the president now, and she's one of my close friends, because she had a little bit of a smaller role on exec, and it doesn't typically translate to president the same as, like, marketing and finance do. So I think it did take some persuading, but she just was, like, a very strong exec member. So I think there's your position, but there's also just the fact of being on exec and being a face of the chapter and being a leader of the chapter.
Like, the way that you take that position
and the way that you take that position. Like, you can do the bare minimum for any position, or you can like, kind of take it above and beyond. And I think having relationships with the girls in your sorority is so important. Like, you know, when I'm on exec, like, even as marketing, I was constantly, like, every time I would get stressed, I was constantly just grateful for the fact that, like, my sorority voted me into that position, and, like, they trust me enough to, you know, maybe it's not that big of a deal, but, like, running the social media is, you know, fairly important. Like, marketing is fairly important, recruitment, video, everything. And so, like, I was, you know, in charge of that whole aspect, but also just, again, being on exec. Like, I was constantly, the president at the time, Sarah Kelly, like, she was such a big, like, mentor and role model for me. She was also marketing before, so I kind of, like, wanted to follow in her footsteps a little bit. But, like, every single time there was an event and something was going on, I would be like at her hip, like, you know, try not to be too annoying, but I'd be like, okay, what do you need from me? Like, how can I help you? Like, and then she did see that. She made me like bus captain for like our formals, and so like that was kind of nice because I got to have a little bit more leadership there and making sure girls weren't being, you know, doing anything too dangerous. And you know, that was my sophomore into junior year. And so I didn't know if I was going to be able to run for president for a bit because I did graduate college a year early. So technically, like, my junior year was my senior year.
Yeah.
Because I only had 3 years of undergrad.
Yeah, I remember you, like, having to figure that out.
But because I wasn't leaving the school and I was staying in Crummer, I was able to do it. So half of my presidency, technically, I was graduated and I was in my master's program. But that was, like, I just kind of called it, like, my last year, like, this past year, I just kind of called it, like, my senior year.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say, like, as president, too, like, I did have to deal with a lot that I can't, like, necessarily speak on, just a lot of, like, you know, confidentiality things, but I kept just telling myself, like, my chapter trusted me enough to vote me into this position. Like, I wanted this position for so long. Like, when I tell you, like, I literally could not sleep for months, like, just trying to manifest, like, wanting to be president so bad, just because, like, I always cared about being involved in AD from, again, like, the second I got home after recruitment, after bid day, but, like, seeing the growth of the chapter while I was in, like, vice president of marketing, seeing a role model like Sarah Kelly and, like, just my friends and the people around me, and the entire chapter, like, our new class, everything, it just made me want to, like, continue seeing the growth of the chapter. And I did not want to, like, I just wanted to keep going after being marketing. Like, if I could, I would have ran for president, you know, like, a second time. Like, I absolutely just loved my chapter and giving back to it, because I just feel like, you know, I think it grew so much during my time, and that was just, like, so incredibly rewarding. So I tried to just do everything I can every time I was stressed, just be grateful for the fact that I got to be in that position. And I think the relationships that I created, not just with, because, like, I do have a really close friend group in AD Pi.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that can come across as, like, cliquey, or just, you know, I don't want to feel like anyone's ever, like, left out or anything like that. So I think just trying to make sure that I was going to dinner and hanging out with girls outside of my family, like, my sorority family is very close, and then making sure, you know, I was including other people in, I don't know, random get-togethers and things like that.
Yeah,
I think kind of
a long way too.
Did go a long way, and even just, like, a simple thing of, like, sometimes there's girls in my own sorority that, like, when I was a freshman, like, they wouldn't even, like, older girls, like, wouldn't even, like, wave and say hi to me.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling like, ew, like, that's so awkward. Like, it's such a small sorority.
Right. Like,
what are you doing?
Yeah. It's just, like,
it just didn't make me feel good. So, like, going out of my way to make sure all the younger girls knew my name and knew who I was, and, like, you know, the simple thing of, like, starting a conversation on campus. I think that was really big for me, because at the end of the day, like, you're not on exec for yourself, you're on exec for the sorority. So making sure I had all of that during marketing, and being on exec, like, going out of my way to not just do the bare minimum of posting TikToks and Instagram posts. Like, that was essentially the day-to-day, that was my job. Like, I obviously had to do more with the, like, shoots and, you know, the whole recruitment video, and shoots for that. But I think, like, as an exec member, just going above and beyond, like, I remember there was, like, a COR bid day, to go back to, like, the whole recruitment thing, and no one was, like, there early to help our COR girl, like, set up. It was just me and her, and I literally got there, like, an hour early. My fake tan was, like, dripping. It was a white shirt, I remember, and, like, my fake tan was literally dripping through the entire thing. It was, like, all out in the sun, and I remember just, like, wanting to be there to, like, you know, not only make an impact on her and, like, help her set up for, you know, the girls' bid day, but, like, just making sure that I put in that extra effort with everything. Like, I'm a member of exec, and I should be going above and beyond for not just my role, but for every single role. So I think that was something I did a lot. I was doing everything that I could. I was trying to help, for every single event. I would, you know, run errands for the girl who was planning the events. I would, you know, help her, like, print out random things. I don't know. So, like, doing things like that for the other
Yeah.
members of exec. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
No, that's.
I mean,
it's
there's
okay.
definitely a lot more responsibilities when you're president, but like
Yeah.
exec is just.
Yeah. No.
It
I
is
feel
what
like-
you make it, but yeah,
Right.
it's a lot. Honestly, it's probably even harder at the bigger schools when you have just so much
I'm
more to
sure.
plan.
Yeah.
And like, as president, so many more girls and like you're
Yeah.
literally in
It's
charge
just-
of all
it's
these
just
girls. Like
times 10.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it definitely is a lot. But such a like rewarding, memorable experience for
Yeah.
sure. I would, like I said, I would have ran again. And it was definitely such an amazing experience. But yeah, I think that's
I think that's pretty much
about it. I mean, I feel like we definitely can have more guests on, like when we get back to
we're
school
gonna
and
try
talk
to
a little
get
bit more in
some
depth of like
more people on here.
yeah, just like some more funny stories, and like we can talk a little bit more like my family dynamic and like
Yeah.
my sorority. But I think that's like a good encapsulation of like what it is to be in a sorority and on exec. Any updates from you besides for your bed party?
Pretty much no. There's no really updates for me. Haven't been doing much.
The next time we post, not when you're seeing this, but the following Monday, we will be in Bauman's.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very excited.
we won't have a
In like
Bauman's
3 days.
episode ready then, but we are gonna
The
post in
following.
Bauman's and have one go up at some point.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure.
yeah, we leave for Bauman's in 4 days and we're so excited. I think
We're so excited.
in the next episode that goes out on Bauman's, we should talk more about it because I think we're getting to kind of the end of this one now.
Yeah.
But just know we're very excited. Very excited, and we're getting ready, especially when you see this.
Yeah.
We're ready. We're getting so ready. I think that's really the only other update we have for now.
Yeah,
And then
I
next
think
week
that's it.
we'll maybe have like a little bit more. And obviously the week after that will be probably the Bauman's episode. So
Yeah.
get excited. We have some fun things planned.
Yes.
I have to say, my big update.
Oh yeah.
I got a job.
Yay!
And we're gonna talk about that in another episode
Yeah.
too. But just so you guys
We'll
know, I'm
deep
not gonna
dive more
be
into that.
unemployed for much longer. I did have a job, like a post-grad job. I ended up leaving that and, was optimizing my other options. I just got my absolute dream role doing marketing at a law firm, and I'm gonna be staying in Orlando, obviously, with Addie. But I'll talk more about all of that in another episode when we go over, like we want to talk about some just like jobs,
Yeah.
networking, kind of things like in Addie's stage, and also then like things in my stage, to kind of appeal to everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
See you next Monday. Bye.